All right, to help us understand the nuances of it, I'm joined by Latha Venkatesh on the broadcast. Latha, the GDP estimate is higher than what the street was expecting. What are the reasons behind this?
Well, the CEA has elaborated that, yes, most of the people in the street are expecting 6%. CNBC-TV18 poll is also 6%, but he's going with 6.5%. Now, actually, the corporate balance sheets over the past few years has improved, he points out. Leverage, debt is much lower. Bank balance sheets have improved, gross NPAs have come down, and the capital they have, CRAR, capital risk-weighted adequacy, is up at almost 16%. Government reforms like GST, the bankruptcy code, the ease of doing business, the PLI, all these could not flow through in full force because of the pandemic. But now with the pandemic practically behind us and, the capex cycle picking up, you can see incipient signs. Credit offtake has clearly gone into double digits. All this means that India should be able to, in the normal circumstances, easily put a 6% growth. He is adding to it another 50 basis points because of the impact of the digital infrastructure that has already been put in place. UPI, the JAM Trinity, the direct benefit transfer through bank accounts, Jan Dhan accounts. All these have not had a good play, but now they will have a smooth play. And therefore, he's expecting a 6.5. And he says if you go on with this logically to the future years, from 2023 to 2030, India should enjoy a potential GDP growth of 7 to 8%.
Right. Latha, the survey also makes a clear case for fiscal prudence. What do you make of the commentary on the fisc?
Well, first, the key takeaway is that he says tax buoyancy has improved. By buoyancy, you mean for 1 unit of GDP, how much do taxes improve? And, he gives some very good data. For instance, the GST data. If you look at the taxes that have gone into the GST, the sales tax, etc., he points out that for the FY13 to FY17 period, taxes grew annually by 11.53%, although nominal GDP grew higher at 11.54%. So for 1 unit of GDP growth, only 0.9% of taxes grew. But for the post-GST period, FY19 to 22, GST has grown by 10.9% annually, although GDP grew, nominal GDP, by only 9.6%, which means for 1 unit of GDP growth, you had a 1.1% growth in GST. This itself means that taxes will be very buoyant in the coming years as well. Then he points at other, improvements in the fisc. CapEx, capital expansion, in the 2009 to 20 period was only 1.7% capital expenditure as a percentage of GDP. But in FY23, it has risen to 2.9%. Higher the capital investment, higher the output. The other, cleaner parts of the improvements in the fisc are that extra budgetary borrowing. Down the line, borrowing which you don't show to everyone. Extra budgetary borrowing used to be as high as 1.4 lakh crore 2-3 years ago. Now it has come down to zero. FY22, it came down to 750 crores, and now FY23 to zero. That's again a sign of transparency. Direct taxes buoyancy is also very high. He points out that from FY13 to FY19, pre-COVID, direct taxes grew annually by 13.9%. But you look at the latest data, FY23 data, April to November, it has grown by 15.5%. Again, showing greater tax buoyancy. GST, we already showed you that the tax buoyancy is very high. Number of people who are paying GST has risen from 70 lakhs when GST started to 1.4 crore in 2022. And that's why he's going at the end of the chapter to say that if we are able to reduce fiscal deficit, fiscal prudence, then the cost of capital for the entire economy will be less, and that will mean higher growth. The tone of that chapter seems to indicate that they will go for a lower fiscal deficit. As well, my sense is because they're expecting a higher GDP, nominal GDP of 11%, they may even go for a higher tax expectation of probably 12%.
All right. Thank you so much, Latha Venkatesh, for helping us understand the nuances of